The United States has seen court cases that changed the nation forever, shaping rights, freedoms, and justice for everyone. From civil rights to personal liberties, these landmark decisions still impact our lives today. Number 1. Marbury versus Madison. When new presidents take office, the presiding ones can still appoint federal judges to influence the next term. These late appointments became known as midnight judges and often drew controversy. When President John Adams appointed William Marbury before leaving office in 1801, Thomas Jefferson's administration denied his position by refusing to deliver the commission of appointment. Marbury believed he was rightfully entitled to the position and filed a writ of mandamus under the Judiciary Act of 1789, which granted the Supreme Court jurisdiction over government officials. At that time, America was still in its early stages, and no legal precedents had been established. Known as the Great Chief Justice, John Marshall ruled that the judiciary could not force the executive branch to act upon the writ of mandamus and that the law was unconstitutional. Marbury could not retry his case and ultimately was not appointed. The power to strike down laws became a powerful safeguard of the Constitution. It established the principle of judicial review, giving the courts the ultimate authority in interpreting the law and a check on the executive and legislative branches. It played a key role in establishing the judiciary as a co-equal branch of government and in the growth of democracies worldwide. Number 2. McCulloh versus Maryland, 1819. Next up, a fight between a state and the whole country over money and power. That fight came in McCulloh versus Maryland in 1819. The federal government wanted to create a central bank to manage the nation's finances. The first Bank of the United States was established in 1791, but it was later shut down by Thomas Jefferson's administration because of concerns that it granted too much financial power, potentially favoring wealthy elites and commercial interests. Many states worried the federal government was getting too strong. When Congress authorized the Second National Bank and expanded to various states, Maryland wanted to tax the Second National Bank, hoping to shut down the Baltimore branch and showing that states had the final say. But the bank, managed by James McCulloh, refused to pay, saying the federal government had the right to create the bank to do its job. Chief Justice John Marshall stepped in and made a powerful decision. He said Congress could use implied powers, even if the Constitution didn't spell it out. Maryland could not tax the bank, arguing, the power to tax involves the power to destroy, and hence it would interfere with the country's work. This case emphasized the elastic clause that grants Congress the power to make all laws necessary and proper for executing its enumerated powers, and states cannot block its essential actions. Number 3, Plessy versus Ferguson. In 1896, a single train ride changed the story of equality in America. Homer Plessy, a man of mixed race, sat in a whites-only railway car in Louisiana, breaking the law called the Separate Car Act. He believed the law was unfair and went to court, saying it violated the Constitution's promise of equal rights for all. To understand the fight, we look at history. After the Civil War, African Americans gained freedom, but by 1890, many southern states passed laws to keep them apart from white people. The Separate Car Act was one of those laws, making African Americans ride in different train cars and treating them as less than others. The Supreme Court, in a 7-1 decision, sided with Louisiana. Justice Henry B. Brown said the law was okay because the Constitution did not require social equality, only legal equality. Justice John Marshall Harlan disagreed, saying the law treated black people unfairly and the country should be colorblind. This decision gave rise to Jim Crow laws, keeping African Americans separate from white Americans for decades. Number 4, Dred Scott versus Sanford. Back in 1857, a single court decision shook the nation to its core. Dred Scott, an enslaved man, had lived in free territories and believed he deserved his freedom. Along with his wife, he sued his owner. To understand the fight, we go back a bit. Dred Scott had lived with his master at Fort Snelling in the Free Territory of Wisconsin before returning to Missouri, a slave state. Previous courts had sometimes agreed that enslaved people could become free this way. After Scott's owner, Dr. John Emerson, passed away in 1843, Scott became legally owned by Emerson's widow, who lived in Missouri. At that time, Missouri had been admitted as a slave state under the Missouri Compromise. Scott believed that his residence in free territory and the principle, once free, always free, should grant him freedom. Scott's case traveled through Missouri and then reached the Supreme Court, gaining huge attention as tensions over slavery divided the nation. On March 6, 1857, Chief Justice Roger B. Taney announced the court's 7-2 decision. He ruled that African Americans of slave descent were not U.S. citizens and could not sue in federal court. He also said Congress could not ban slavery in federal territories. Hence, the Missouri Compromise was unconstitutional. This ruling angered many in the North, pleased Southern slaveholders, and pushed the country closer to the Civil War. Number 5, Brown versus Board of Education. In 1954, one school case shook the whole country and gave hope to millions. Brown versus Board of Education began when Oliver Brown, a parent in Topeka, Kansas, fought for his daughter Linda, who had to go to a black-only school far from home while a white school was nearby. Brown and other families said this was unfair and violated the Constitution's promise of equal protection. To fight this, the families called on Thurgood Marshall, a brilliant lawyer with the NAACP. He told the Supreme Court that separate schools were not equal and hurt black children, making them feel less important than others. The Supreme Court listened. On May 17, 1954, Chief Justice Earl Warren announced a unanimous decision. Separate schools are inherently unequal, and segregation in public schools is unconstitutional. This overturned the Plessy precedent and sent a powerful message across America. The ruling inspired the civil rights movement, sparking actions for equality in education, housing, and voting rights, even though change came slowly. Brown versus Board showed the nation that justice and fairness must reach every child. Number 6, Gideon versus Wainwright. In small Florida town, a man's fight for justice changed the law for everyone. Clarence Earl Gideon was arrested near a burglary scene in Panama City, Florida, and in 1961, he asked the court for a lawyer because he could not afford one. The judge refused, and Gideon had to defend himself. Unsurprisingly, he was convicted. While serving his sentence, Gideon studied law in prison and realized his rights had been ignored. Determined, he handwrote a petition to the Supreme Court, which agreed to hear his case. In 1963, the court ruled unanimously in Gideon's favor, stating that the Sixth Amendment requires state courts to provide lawyers for defendants who cannot afford one in felony cases. Chief Justice Earl Warren explained that a fair trial cannot happen if a poor person faces serious charges alone. This ruling ensured that everyone, rich or poor, would have a chance to defend themselves in court. Gideon versus Wainwright became a landmark decision, strengthening fairness and equality in the American justice system. Number 7, Miranda versus Arizona. In one pivotal moment, the law reminded everyone that your words matter and your rights matter even more. Ernesto Miranda was arrested at home and questioned by police in 1966, without being told he could stay silent or have a lawyer. His confession was used at trial, and he was convicted of serious crimes. This was not an isolated case. Other people like Venera, Westover, and Stewart faced similar situations where police questioned them while in custody without explaining their rights. The courts often admitted these confessions, leaving many to wonder if anyone's freedom was truly protected. The Supreme Court stepped in and made a landmark ruling in 1966. Chief Justice Earl Warren explained that anyone taken into custody must be warned. They can remain silent. What they say can be used in court. They have the right to a lawyer, and one will be provided if they cannot afford it. This decision gave every person in America a shield against unfair questioning, making sure the law protects the innocent and the accused alike, no matter their background or situation. Number 8. Roe v. Wade. Norma Leah Nelson McCorvey, a woman in Texas, was pregnant in 1973 and challenged a law that made abortion a crime except to save her life. Under the pseudonym Jane Roe, she sued Henry Wade, the Dallas County District Attorney, to challenge Texas laws, where Roe and other women argue that laws banning abortion interfered with a woman's right to make decisions about her own body. She argued that the law violated her personal rights and privacy guaranteed by the Constitution. The case reached the Supreme Court. In 1973, the court ruled 7-2 in favor of Roe. They said women have the right to end a pregnancy, especially in the first trimester, and that governments cannot prohibit this choice. The ruling created a trimester system, allowing some regulation later in pregnancy, but protecting early decisions. For decades, Roe v. Wade gave millions of women control over their health and future. It sparked national debates and inspired efforts to ensure fairness and freedom for women across America. Number 9. United States versus Nixon. In one dramatic moment that shook the nation, the law reminded everyone that no one is above it. During the Watergate scandal, President Richard Nixon tried to keep secret tapes of Oval Office conversations, claiming executive privilege. In 1974, Congress and a special prosecutor demanded the tapes to investigate abuse of power. To understand the fight, we look at history. Nixon had installed recording devices in his office, and the tapes could show whether he and his aides had broken the law. Nixon refused to hand them over, saying that the president must be free to speak privately without interference. The Supreme Court in 1974 delivered a unanimous ruling. Chief Justice Burger explained that executive privilege is not unlimited. Courts can require the president to release evidence if there is a demonstrated specific need in a criminal investigation. This decision forced Nixon to surrender the tapes, proving that even the president must obey the law. United States versus Nixon strengthened checks and balances, showing that justice applies to everyone, from citizens to the highest office in the land. Number 10. Obergefell versus Hodges, 2015. Finally, the courts reminded everyone that dignity and rights matter for all. Jim Obergefell and other same-sex couples wanted their marriages recognized in states where such unions were illegal. In 2015, they challenged these laws, arguing that denying recognition violated the 14th Amendment. To understand why this mattered, we must see history. States like Michigan, Ohio, Kentucky, and Tennessee only allowed marriage between a man and a woman. Same-sex couples faced barriers to adoption, property rights, and healthcare benefits. The courts had long recognized marriage as a fundamental right, but it had never been extended to LGBTQ+ couples nationwide. The Supreme Court in 2015 ruled that states must allow and recognize same-sex marriages. Justice Kennedy explained that marriage is central to personal dignity, liberty, and equality, and that laws banning same-sex marriage harm both couples and their children. Obergefell v. Hodges ensured that love, commitment, and legal protections extend to everyone, affirming that the promise of the Constitution embraces all families, no matter who they love. Which Supreme Court decision do you think had the biggest impact? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit like, and subscribe for more stories about America's most important legal battles.